Hi, friend. Have you thought about taking your yoga classes online? And even if you haven't, the concept of launching can work with in-person events as well. And this is all I'm talking about today, planning for a launch. There's so much that goes into it, but I've broken it down into 5 simple steps, and I can't wait to share it with you because even I can get overwhelmed sometimes when it comes to launching. But before I do, I want to tell you why this is so top of mind for me. And it's because I'm launching this month, so that's where my head is. My membership is only open for enrollment a few times a year, and in just a few weeks, the doors will open for the last time in 2019. So all throughout this process of planning my launch, I actually took notes in preparation of sharing it all with you. And I'm taking you on this journey with me, whether I meet my goals or not. So the first 2 episodes in September are all about planning, and then the last 3 episodes in September are live. I will be recording them as the launch is happening, so stay tuned. Welcome to episode number 9 of the Marketing Yoga with Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Amanda McKinney, and I'm so glad you're here today. This episode is brought to you by my membership, and the doors are opening soon. So you can get on the wait list and be the first to know when those doors open by going to marketingyogawithconfidence.com/membership. This membership is all about confidence and community. You will gain that confidence through monthly tutorials and Q&A calls and so many other resources. And you'll gain the community through the actual community of the membership. There are 36 founding members already in and supporting each other along the way. I can't wait for you to jump in and become a member. But for today, let's jump in and talk about planning a launch. So you might be thinking, Amanda, what constitutes a launch? And your question is very valid. And it's really the opening of something. It could be a class, a workshop, a series, a group program, online offering, or even an in-person offering. But the idea is that there is a time block of heavy marketing during a launch as opposed to your ongoing marketing efforts. And during that launch, you're welcoming people in to a specific offering. So if you have a workshop or a series of classes, you're asking them to register for that thing. For my example, I'm welcoming people into my membership. So there's a very specific time frame in which that launch is happening. So I wanted to tell you why this is top of mind for me now, and it's because I'm launching in September. And when I got to thinking about this, I thought, why not share the behind the scenes with you? I get so many questions about launching that I thought I would just share this exact process that I'm going through. So the first 2 episodes of this podcast in September are me planning ahead. But the last 3 episodes in September are going to be pretty much live. They will be recorded just a few days before they go live, which will have me giving my update on how the launch is going. You can follow along with me and see how I adapt and see how I change things as the launch is happening. Because no matter how much planning I do, I always have to tweak something. Because I really did start planning this many, many months ago. I welcomed in the founding members back in April, and so at that point, I knew exactly when my next launch would be. So I started planning then. So I decided to do an open and close launch process for my membership. And I actually think this is going to help me relate this to yoga so much because what this means is that I have a series of weeks. So it will be a 2-week launch plan each time that I launch. I will be launching 3 times in 2020. So it's very few times that I open the doors to my membership. And the way that you can look at this for your yoga offering is think about it like a class series or a seasonal workshop. So let's say you have a seasonal workshop that happens 4 times a year to correspond with the seasons. So you could take one launch plan and actually use that 4 times in the same year. But what you'll do is you'll want to learn along the way and tweak it. And that's exactly what I will be doing. So every single thing that I do during this planning process, I will outline out and then I will track it during the launch. When I do that, I'm making notes so that I know what to do differently the next time around. And I'm already thinking about my next launch, which is crazy. But it's really important to think ahead and know, okay, what do I need to make note of this time around so I can learn and do it better next time? Because I know you're a yoga teacher that's going to do this again. You're going to host another workshop or have another series or welcome new people into your class. So why not learn along the way? While this exact plan that I'm going to walk you through for myself as I planned my launch might not be the exact same thing that you will do, you can absolutely tailor it to your needs. And next week on the podcast, I will be talking about a very specific yoga offering that comes with a download. So you will actually have a template to download and use it with a yoga offering. But for this episode, I'm going to walk you through the steps and then tell you what I did as I was planning for my launch. But I do want to also note that as much planning as I can do, I also need to be flexible. During this process, like I said, I have to change things along the way. And so I have to be flexible with my plan, and I want you to be flexible with yours. Because what you're probably going to see is that when I come on and do the first live, I'll probably think my numbers are too low. That's so normal during a launch process, especially in the middle of it or right as it's starting, because people tend to purchase towards the end. So taking that into account, it'll be really interesting to see how my mindset is and how I'm feeling on those live podcasts, because I'm going to share everything with you. If the numbers are in my favor or if they're not, I'm going to share them. And my thought is this: maybe I hit my numbers and maybe I don't. And that's something that I want you to witness, because not every launch is going to be wonderful. I hope this launch goes according to my plan and I get to welcome in the goal that I set of those yoga teachers coming into my membership. And not just because I want to welcome more people into my membership, but because if I do that, that means I'm helping more yoga teachers. And this is the thing. That's what I want you to remember when you are marketing your workshop, your class series, your private sessions, whatever it is, you're helping more people. So I want you to remember that when you're thinking about your launch and planning for your marketing, because that's what it is. You just want to nurture those relationships so you can help more people. So before I go into the specific steps, there is one thing you need to know before you can plan your launch. And that's what the heck you're going to offer. You have to know the details. You have to know what you're launching, what you're going to offer. So are you going to have a workshop series, or is it going to be just one specific class? What exactly are you doing? Because if you don't know that, you can't plan a launch at all. If you do, it's going to get really confusing really quickly. So I'm going to share my details with you and what I knew before I touched my launch plan at all. And what I knew was that I was launching my membership in September. That is what I knew. I knew I was going to mark out 2 weeks for the launch. And that was about it. I didn't know a whole bunch of other things before I got started, but I knew that. And then I got a little more clear. I knew I wanted to have the launch happen for 2 weeks, and I wanted it to be specific at the end of September. But then I realized I wanted to run a challenge. So then it took me to a 3-week launch because I knew I wanted to run a challenge. I've done one before and I had so much fun. And not only that, the yoga teachers that were involved in that challenge learned a lot too. So I knew I wanted to do that, and then I would open the doors to the membership on the last day of the challenge. So that brought me to a 3-week window, and so I chose the dates of September 9th, starting the challenge, and the doors closing on the membership on September 27th. So at that point, that's all I knew, what I was offering and when it was happening. So once you have those details known, then you can start with step number 1, which is all about setting your goals. And if you've heard me at all, you've probably heard me say that I like to suggest for everyone to use good, better, and best goals. It gives you milestones to celebrate along the way, and it just gives you 3 different targets. And really, since I've been using this method, it has really changed the game for me. So I don't have any hard and fast rules about why to use it. I just know it works. So I'm going to break down what the good, the better, and the best are. And I'm going to start with the good. And again, next week on the podcast, I'm going to be talking about a very specific yoga offering. So I do have some examples for that. But for this episode, I'm going to tell you my goals. And this is a really big deal for me. So I want you to know that I am opening this up to you because I care about you and I want to be transparent. So I'm going to share my good, better, and best goals for my membership. So here I go. My good goal for the membership is to welcome 100 yoga teachers into the membership. My better is 150 and my best is 200. And if I'm being really, really honest with you, I would probably do backflips for the good goal. But I did want to stretch myself a little bit on this one. I set my goals really low when I first opened the membership for the founding members because I didn't have anything in the membership. I didn't have anything in there. There were no videos, no tutorials, no resources whatsoever. I launched the membership and said, if you like what I'm doing and want to see more of it in a very low-cost manner, then the membership is for you. So I was really excited when I was able to welcome 36 people into the membership. As founding members, I was able to welcome them in and so excited to do it. Those were not my goals. I did not have the goal of 36 people. I actually had the goal of 5 as my good goal. If as funny as it is, I really set the bar low because I wasn't sure what to expect. But as you grow and as you learn whatever your workshop goal is or class series goal is, you'll realize, okay, the market says yes to this, I can go a little bit higher, or I can book a bigger room. And so that's what I'm doing. I booked a bigger room for this. So while I have been loving on my founding members, and a huge shout out to all my founding members, I look at your names every single day and celebrate your yoga business growing and all the encouragement that you're jumping in and giving to the other founding members. It's truly remarkable. And so what I want to do is I want to welcome in 100 yoga teachers to be members in the membership and continue this community, to have more people involved, more people giving each other support. I'm so excited for this and I know it's working and I love it. And so this is exactly what you will feel. When you launch something and it goes better than you expected, I want you to set your goals high. And that's exactly what I did. So my good, better, and best have been outlined for you, and I hope to hit those numbers. But if I don't, I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be welcoming in every single one of the members that join. And the first thing I want you to do when you set your goals is I want you to use the Post-it system. On my wall right now, as I'm recording this, I am looking at 100 pink Post-its on my wall. I have been looking at these 100 pink Post-its for over a month now. I did this because I am calling in the yoga teachers that I want into this membership. I want yoga teachers who are ready to grow their business, who are ready to earn more money doing what they love and teaching yoga. And so I have been calling in 100 yoga teachers for over a month. And I can't tell you how amazing this is. I've done this for every launch in 2019. Whether it was group coaching or welcoming in the founding members, I had Post-its before I had names. And then I wrote the names as people joined in group coaching and in the membership. And it's truly amazing to see how it works. So that's what I want you to do, is to set your goals and then get those Post-its out. Step number 2 is to brain dump all the ideas you can think of. Seriously, every single one of them. There's no such thing as a silly thought here. I want you to make a list of all the ways that you can think it's possible to spread the word about whatever party it is that you want to invite people to. So if you have a workshop series that will be happening 4 times a year, think about how you can invite people to that party. Maybe it's Instagram, Facebook, your email list, studio classes, local Facebook groups. Maybe you speak at a mom's group or a PTA or schools or churches or offices. The list can go on and on. But no matter what, I want you to remember your dream person for that workshop or for the class and figure out where they hang out, both on and offline. I suggest using a Google Doc for this so you can just have a bulleted list of all your ideas. And don't focus on the details here. This is the what, not the how. You're going to get to the how later. This is your dreaming phase. Are you ready for my list? So my list was a little bit longer than this, but for the purposes of the podcast, I'm going to keep it a little more streamlined. So here's the list that I came up with. I knew I wanted the founding members to have an affiliate option. I knew I would use my email list, Instagram, and of course my favorite, Instagram stories. I would use my Facebook group post and other Facebook groups that I'm in because those have share posts that you can share things. I knew I wanted to be guest on podcasts, and I wanted to do Facebook Lives in my group. I wanted to do a free training, and I definitely knew I wanted to do the challenge. I thought about doing a bonus for enrolling early, and of course I would use my own podcast. And Facebook and Instagram ads were also on my list. So you can see it's just a list of the what and not the how. Step number 3 is figuring out all the details for those ideas. See, I told you we would get to the how, and it didn't take very long, because if your brain is like mine, you're going to start working on the how pretty quickly. And if there's anything I know about goal setting, it's that a goal is a dream on purpose. And the only way to make that dream a goal and that goal a reality is to get really, really clear. And I mean painstakingly small task clear. So your to-do list is going to grow exponentially when you get to this phase, but the actions are going to be minuscule, so you'll be crossing them off like crazy. The key is to outline every single detail. And again, I know this might seem a little overwhelming at first, but trust me, you will thank me later. So to give you an example, I'll tell you what I'm doing with my founding member affiliates, because I sure do love them. The idea is that they, meaning the founding members, have the opportunity to also earn some money during the launch. And they would do so by inviting people to the membership, because they trusted me when the membership had nothing in it, and now it's packed with content that they asked for. So if there's anyone who's going to invite people to the party, it's the founding members who've seen me create the content based on what they asked me for. So here's what I outlined in order to figure out all the details about the founding member affiliate program. I had to identify what the affiliate percentage would be for the monthly and the yearly prices for the membership. I had to figure out how to handle affiliates in the program I'm using, which is Teachable. I had to test the process. I had to outline everything I will provide to the affiliates and how I will deliver it to them. I had to announce the affiliate program to the founding members in a Facebook Live in our private group. I had to set a reminder to remind the founding members about the affiliate opportunity every other week in August. And then I set a reminder to remind the founding members about the affiliate opportunity the first 2 weeks in September, so they had an opportunity for a last-minute sign-up. I knew I wanted to create social media posts, so I needed to create 5 social media posts for the affiliates. I needed those social media posts to have images, so I needed to create 5 of those. I also wanted to give them email blurbs that if they had an email list, they could use that too. So I wanted to create 5 email blurbs. And then I needed to put it all together in a Google folder. So I had to create that Google folder and figure out how I was going to manage all of those things. So I needed to create a Google Doc that would contain all of the social media posts and the email blurbs for the affiliates. Then I needed to upload all of those images I created into that Google folder. Then I needed to create a list to keep tabs of all the founding members who needed an affiliate link. Then I need to create the affiliate links for them 1 week before the launch. I needed to create a way to tag them in my email service to note who was an affiliate. I needed to write thank you emails to all the affiliates. I needed to schedule all of those emails. I needed to write a few emails for the launch process and schedule those emails too. So while that may feel like a lot, it was just one piece of the puzzle in my launch. But the reason it felt like a lot was because there were a ton of little tasks on there. But in reality, it's an afternoon pretty much. Yeah, there's a lot of reminders on there that will take up different days, but those reminders are really short. And remember, I batch things. So when I write emails, I write them all at one time. When I write social media posts, I write them all at one time. So yes, it did feel like a long list, but in reality, I can get things done pretty quickly once I look at what I need to do and batch those things that are like tasks. Here are 2 takeaways that I want you to notice about that list. Number 1, they need to be tiny. There needs to be nothing big here. If there are 2 things in one sentence that you have to do, it needs to be broken out into 2 sentences. And also, the sentence needs to start with a verb. Always. If it doesn't, it's not a task. It's an idea or a project. A task starts with a verb. So writing an email, scheduling an email, creating an image. These are the things. If you start a task with something other than a verb, it needs to be rewritten or you won't know what to do. Step number 4 is putting it on a calendar. And I definitely want you to check the show notes for this one because I've got pictures, my friend. You know those pink Post-its that are on my wall? I have a whole lot more of them on a calendar. And it's a lot of fun. And this is how I do this. So it's really fun for me to work in a Google Doc, but I actually have to plan my launches with Post-its and pieces of paper. And I sit down on the floor and I'm posting away. I get to go all arts and crafty in my business every now and then, and it always comes down to that in a launch. So I use a very big Post-it and I draw a calendar. So for mine, I have a picture where I actually had August and September on one big Post-it. So the big Post-its I use are like 2 foot by 3 foot. I was literally looking at one when I just estimated that, so don't hold me to the dimensions. But they're pretty big. So I had August and September drawn on as a calendar. And again, I drew this. This is not something that I went and purchased. There are calendars that you can purchase for that, but I just drew it on a big Post-it. And then I had the squares for each day, and then I used the Post-its, the regular size Post-its, to put things on the calendar. So then I could move it around. So remember when I said my launch was going to be 2 weeks, and then I said, oh, but I want a challenge. So I added that the week before. So this is when it gets really, really fun, but you have to be strategic because you can just start posting Post-its everywhere. So you want to start with the big date. When do you need to have the signups happen? So if you are hosting a workshop, there is most likely a date that you need to make the decision. Am I going to cancel this or is it going to happen? That date is the first thing you want to mark on the calendar. That is when I reference cart close, that is your registration date. That's the date that you have to close and make a decision. And then you work backwards. So what I want you to do at this point is not only think about the things that you have to do on certain days. So when the launch is happening and those dates, like I mapped out the challenge and I have the cart open and the cart close. But what you also need to remember and mark on your calendar is when you will work on all of the actions. So you heard me say I had to write emails and social media posts. Well, those things don't write themselves. So you have to have a day where you're going to write those emails and write those social media posts before the actual launch. So while I have things that are happening during those 2 weeks, I actually needed to write all of those things way before. So the launch dates are really important, but planning for the launch is how you will keep your sanity during the actual launch. So you really want to plan ahead. And like I said, when I was showcasing my example of all the things I was doing for the founding member affiliates, you want to batch like task. So writing all the emails, writing all the social media posts, maybe it's contacting people. You know, if you wanted to work with those local groups to reach those moms for the workshop, you'll want to contact people on the same day. So you'll want to do things that are either the same or at least similar in task on similar days and times. It really helps your brain just focus on one thing at a time, and you get so much more done. And the last thing I want you to put on your calendar is some time off after the launch. So you heard me say I have a 2-week launch period, but then I add the challenge, so there's really 3. And you better believe that after that 3 weeks, I am tired. So I definitely have some time built in as part of my calendar for my launch where I'm actually going to have a slow time in my business. So I actually work really far ahead. So for example, my podcasting, I'm actually batching all of my podcast episodes for October in August so that I'm 1 month ahead and I actually don't have to worry about it so much in September because there's a lot going on, and then I can take October a little bit slower. So like I said, I did include images of how I do this in the show notes. So you can find those at marketingyogawithconfidence.com/podcast. So one thing to note is that I created this calendar when I first started launch planning. I stuck all the Post-its on there, and then I started putting things in my task management system, Asana. So if you don't use a project management or a task management system, I highly recommend doing that. I use Asana, and yes, it is pronounced Asana and not Asana. So what I do is once I get everything down on paper, I then put it in my digital project management tool. So it tells me what to do on what day. It's very, very helpful. But I do want to mention that after I took these pictures, I did move some things around. For example, I have a free training. It's actually marked webinar on my calendar, but I had a free training that I moved. Instead of it happening on Wednesday, it happened on Thursday. So I changed some dates around. And that is because things happen. Life happens and you have to move some things around. So remember, I said you have to be flexible. And if there's anyone who struggles with this, that is me. I am the person who overplans every single thing. So being flexible is actually really more difficult for me. But the good news is most yoga teachers I work with are much more flexible than me. So the good news is you're actually ahead of me on that one. And there were a few other things that I decided to change along the way. But overall, the major plan of this is when the cart opens, this is when the cart closes, did stay the same. So you'll be able to see all the Post-its in all their glory on the show notes. And step number 5 is getting to work. I don't want you to get stuck in the planning. Post-its are so much fun, but you have to do what's on them in order to actually hit your goals. Trust me, I've seen so many people stay in the planning phase because it's really fun and easy to plan. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming, but most of the time it's a lot of fun to plan. It's so much fun that everyone wants to stay there, but you can't. You have to get out of the planning and into the doing. And so the first order of business I want you to do when it's get to work time is to look at your Post-its. I want you to set those goals and put those Post-its up and start looking at them. Like I am looking at my Post-its right now as I record this. I want you to look at them every single day. I want you to call in your dream students knowing that they're going to say yes, but you have to invite them to the party in order for them to say yes. So you have to get going. You have to get going on all the tasks that you outlined because you did the work in planning. All you have to do is execute. I know it might sound like a lot, but launches are so worth it. Plus, once you've done it once, it continues to get easier and better each time. I promise you will learn, you will have so many lessons along the way, and nothing is going to go perfectly. And I am a testament to this. You're probably going to witness how not perfect this launch is about to go for me. And I'm taking you on this journey. So learn alongside me on this journey, and you'll have a great way of adjusting when you listen to me. I know you're going to do amazing with whatever you're launching. Make sure to stay tuned to next week as well, because in the episode, I will be sharing a marketing plan that's very specific to a yoga offering. But I wanted you to see the behind the scenes for how I planned my launch of this membership. But I'm not letting you off the hook without a next best step. If you know the next thing you want to launch, it's time to get those details down first. You can't plan a launch without something to share. So get the details down and identify your dream student, and then start with step number 1 of setting your goals. Until next time, give yourself permission to launch like a beginner and grace along the way. Talk to you soon.